This is Galatians 6 and 7. And it says, Be not deceived, the Most High is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. I like to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai. Double honors to the apostle elders, a great millstone who rule well. And salutations to all you brothers out there pushing this word in love, truth, sincerity, and humility. Once again, it's the brother Shatia from the Chicago camp, coming back to you with what I hope is another quick and edifying sit down. Okay. And this precept was inspired by a video on TikTok by this Edomite who's talking about this fear is in every European America still to this day. Okay. Basically, this is the fear of every Edomite. And I would like to just add, not only in America, but across the entire world. So we'll let this play.
It is the stupidity of man to think that he can do evil, even some monstrous evil, and it won't have any backlash on himself. But of course, it seldom works that way, and the moment he figures that out, he starts looking for a way to avoid the repercussions of what he's done. This is what happened with slavery. In the early 1800s, as it began to look like the end of slavery might be on the horizon, white America started to be concerned that a day of reckoning was coming. The primary fear for the average person was of retribution and insurrection, and that was a reasonable fear. After all, it's illogical to think that you can do to a whole group of people what was done to African Americans and think that they will just take it lying down forever. And of course, there were things like the Nat Turner uprisings. But for the wealthy elite, their fears went beyond things like insurrection. They were worried about the financial impact. Remember, it was not just the cotton plantations that profited from slavery. Whether you're talking about the banks or the insurance companies, the railroads, even the newspapers, the fact is that almost every aspect of the American economy was at some level or another invested in the slave business. You also need to recognize that for the wealthy elitists who controlled this system, slaves were an asset as long as they were slaves. But at the moment they are set free, they become a liability. And what the elite knew was that the end of slavery would instantly release 4 million people into the economy who had been kept uneducated and effectively unemployable anywhere but the cotton field. The other fear that these people had was intermarriage between blacks and whites would lead to a loss of racial purity. The question was, what were they going to do about it? And their initial thought was that they would just send all the slaves back to Africa. This plan was called colonization, and it had broad support among the wealthy elite. In fact, the American Colonization Society was even funded by the United States Congress. But in the end, colonization proved to be unworkable, and the idea was eventually scrapped. But about that same time, a new philosophy was emerging in the world. It was called eugenics, and for some, it seemed like the perfect solution to what had become known as the Negro dilemma.
So basically what he's telling us is that all the things that bad Uncle Esau did to the children of Israel, okay, he's starting to realize like, uh-oh, you mean there's going to be payback for this? Yeah. Let's read that again, Galatians 6 and 7. It says, Be not deceived, the Most High is not mocked. And how was bad Uncle Esau deceived? He was deceived because, as the scripture says, I believe it's in Psalms, where it says that this guy thought that he was altogether like them, meaning that bad Uncle Esau perceived that just because it was his time to rule, that and the children of Israel didn't get saved, that the Lord was dealing with them. me see. Let me put it on pause and find it real quick. Here it is, Psalm 50 and 21. It says, these things hast thou done, and I kept my silence. It says, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes. So this is how the nation of Edom was deceived, because they perceived that just because that they were on top, which was prophesied it would happen, that after the 1,000 years, Satan should be loose for, let's just get that. Yep, Revelation 20 and, yep, that's it, 20 and 7. It says, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. Okay, and that happened after the Dark Ages, when the Israelites were taken down. And when this guy finally got back into power, and start putting hell on us, and realize that there was no leader that rose up to gather our people together. There were no chariots. There were no miracles. They perceived that, oh, the Lord is not coming to save them. So let's just see what happens if we keep beating on them and beating on them and beating on them and beating on them. And after so many years of them just continuing to beat down on us, they were like, shoot, I guess the Lord's dealing with us now. He done forgot about them. But no, that's not happening. It says, it merely just states that the Lord kept his silence, meaning that, hey, I have to let my people take this ass whooping for a little bit, because they was going off. And it says, thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself. You actually thought I was dealing with you. Bad Uncle Esau honestly thought that just because we had to learn our lesson under hardcore slavery, under Bad Uncle Esau, they actually thought that the Lord was dealing with them. But the scripture says, but I will reprove thee. Okay? I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to correct. I'm going to critically scrutinize this behavior of yours. It says, I will reprove thee and set them in order before thy eyes. Basically, I'm going to build them back up. And I'm going to show you that even though I sent them into a hellish captivity, I'm still dealing with my people Israel. As the scripture says, I forgot what they're. Yep, Psalm 94 and 14. And let me see if I need to read up a little bit. Nope, this is it. Psalm 94 and 14. It says, for Yahweh will not cast off his people, neither will he forsake his inheritance. So the Lord never gave up on us. It's just that we had to serve this captivity as a lesson in what happens when you disobey the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And see, now, as the scripture says, we're being set before this guy's eyes. The tabernacle of David is being built up again. Okay, Israel and Judah, Ephraim and Judah are coming back together. This guy's seeing chariots. This truth is going out. He's like, uh-oh. We didn't think this was going to happen. So they look back in the scripture and realize when this happens, it's the end of them. And now they're fearing, as the man said, retribution, and they're trying to get out that jam. But as the scripture says, they can't get out this jam. It don't matter how much they try to implement, as he said, this eugenics to deal with the Negro problem. And we all know eugenics is just merely a politically correct term of just meaning killing off or doing away with by killing. It doesn't matter how much you implement this plan of eugenics so you can get out this jam, it's not going to happen. As we go back into Galatians 6 and 7, it says that be not deceived, for the Most High is not mocked, for whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. And you put on us hundreds of years of brutal, hardcore, shameful slavery. And according to Galatians 6 and 7, what do we have to do to you because of this? It's in the New Testament. Let me just go straight to it. Revelation 18 and 6. It says, reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works, in the cup which she had filled, fill to her double. It says, how much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously. Right. The man went into look how much money they made off of us during the time of hardcore slavery. And then want to brag about how they hard workers and how they're the greatest thing known to man. How much has she glorified herself and lived deliciously? You want to know about how delicious they live? Go read Wisdom of Solomon, the 2nd chapter. It says, so much torment and sorrow give her, for she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Okay? We're going to render double to the nation of Edom everything that they have done to us. The retribution that they never perceived that was going to happen is about to happen very soon in a very divine fashion. You can't get out this jam. It don't matter how much AI you create. It doesn't matter if you think you can actually fulfill this naive thought of transhumanism. You ain't about to get out this jam, bad Uncle Esau. It's a wrap for you. And so that's all I want to say on this. I hope you all ratified. Till the next time, we're going to say shalom.